Okay. All right. Gonna get started now. Hello, everybody. This is Treyo, and gonna start showing you some basics of 3D modeling, one of my favorite things to do, and how we would go about making a 3D model of Imperial TIE Fighter from Star Wars. Um, this is to get people excited about 3D modeling, and with the models that you make here in Tinkercad, you can take these and with maybe some minor tweaks 3D print them out and make keychains, ornaments, toys, figures, models to display, whatever you choose to do with it. The Some aspects of sci-fi are already here with what 3D printers can do. And the great thing about Tinkercad is, there'd be people that are going to pop up in here and they're going to be like, oh, Tinkercad, it's super simple. It's like, yes, it is super simple. And if you're new to 3D, this is a great way to get yourself introduced to it, to see if it's something that you like, and then watch. You can follow along if you'd like, and kind of figure out, oh, is this something I want to do? Is this something that I might want to learn to do? Because 3D printing is here. It's been around since the 80s, but now it's gotten to the point where you can have a 3D printer, a pretty good 3D printer for like about $300-400. You can buy right off Amazon in your house, and you could start making your own stuff. And a lot of people don't understand that 3D printing, what it's used in. So we use it in the film and television industry, which is what I work in, to make props and set pieces and models for you name it. But it's also used obviously in architectural design, and a lot of people don't realize they're starting to use 3D printers to make houses. They're using 3D printers to print organs for organ replacement transplants for people who have bladder cancer or kidney cancer, or in the future possibly more complex organs like the heart and liver, because they actually have printers now that can actually print right down to the cellular level. We also use 3D printing in food. There's a lot of there's cakes and different types of desserts, chocolates in particular, that people are doing 3D prints with, because you can do shapes and arrangements that would be impossible to do by hand. Another thing is 3D printing is starting to become really big in clothing, and people don't understand. I've seen 3D printed dresses that women are wearing, 3D printed shoes, which will be the future. It's already starting to now, but it will definitely be the future. Except the nice thing is now you'll be able to scan your feet, get a perfect, and you'll be able to 3D print something that fits exactly to the specifications. Pardon my faux pas there, and that'll fit your body. Feet, arms, pant leg length, all that stuff. So, all right. So I've gone off on a tangent here. So we're going to get back to the basics. So, those of you who are new to Tinkercad, don't know anything about it or 3D modeling, Tinkercad is really cool. It's completely free. It runs in your browser. You don't even have to download it and install it on your computer. You just open it up in your browser, like a Google Chrome or Windows Edge or Firefox. So just go to Google and type in Tinkercad, and it'll take you right here to the website, right? and it'll probably want you to do a. I think you have to at least sign up for it, but again, it's completely free, completely free. This is what I use to teach kids and adults 3D modeling, and I've used it for 3D printing as well. Um, so, uh, if you want to follow along, you can sign up and just follow along as I go along. I'll try not to go too quickly. I'll try to talk and explain things out. Um, but if you just want to just watch, of course, more than happy to have people just follow along and just see if this is something of interest to them. But anyway, Tinkercad completely free. It's it's a very simple 3D modeling application, so that's why I kind of teach it as an intro to 3D, because you don't have to get deep into the really the complexities of 3D modeling that you would get as something more advanced like Blender, which I will also do demonstrations of in the future, or Autodesk Maya, or 3D Studio Max, or Cinema 4D, or ZBrush, which is a 3D sculpting application. Um, I've used all those, and you could do amazing things with them. We use them in the film industry to create creatures, spaceships, um, set extensions, uh, props, clothing. I mean, you name it, they use it for that. Um, so in the future, when I decide to do more advanced stuff, I'll probably use Blender, and Blender is also completely free. But you have to download it, install it, and you should have a decent computer, like something that you could play a video game on. Doesn't have to be super powerful, but anyway. Uh, so Tinkercad, again, some people think it's too simple, but that's the beauty of it. Is it teaches you the basics and how to think three-dimensionally, how to think about how things are put together, what things are composed of. And one of the things that I learned when I was in art school was that all complex objects are composed of simple objects. Okay? So when you look at something like an Imperial TIE fighter, okay, a TIE fighter is basically, it's a sphere with two planes on either side and two cylinders connecting those planes. And then you start to add more detail in on it to make it more complicated. But that's essentially it. That's the block out, the basic underlying skeleton or structure of a TIE fighter. A sphere, two planes or flattened cubes on the ends, connected by two cylinders. And then you start to add stuff out where we'll get into that as well. So with Tinkercad, one of the things that makes it nice and simple is it's basically a Boolean, or some people call it Boolean modeler. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, so I'm just gonna grab this cube right here and drag it in here into the middle. Okay, and once you bring it into your work plane, you can do all sorts of cool things with it. You can go from cube to rectangle. You can flatten it out. You can make it like a plane. You can, this is what we use to move it. And the cool thing is, because Tinkercad's based around CAD modeling, you get all these exact measurements. So right now it's set to millimeters, 1.0 millimeters on the grid. So right now this is 20 by 40 millimeters. And that's great when we get to the point where we might want to take this and export it out to be printed in 3D. Anyway, that's getting ahead of ourselves. So we're going to bring it back down. So you can create things by combining stuff, right? You can take this cube and you can combine it with another sphere and a cube, and you could create a complex object and build out on it. Or you can make subtractions from it. So what does that mean? So I clicked over here. This is a box, but see how it's grayed out and you can see through it? That's because this is a cutter, okay? Use this to make holes. So this is one of the cool things about Boolean modeling. So you just basically use this to cut out shapes to create something more complex. So you select them both, right? And you can get multiple shapes that are cutters, or as I Control Z it, you could, oops, there it is. So you take this and you select this, and what you do is you go right here and you go to Union Group. All right, when you do that, see that? It cuts it out. Now, if you wanted to undo that, you can go back up here, ungroup. And when you do that, that allows you to go back, and you can select this, you can move it. You bring it up and down. And you can do the same with this. You could make this bigger, make this bigger, and then do the same thing. So I shift connect. So I shift select. So I make sure this is selected. Then I left mouse click, holding the shift key down, and I select the red cube as well. And then I go right here, Union Group, and there you go. It cuts it out. And you can keep doing this. So we could take a sphere, and we could move this down, right? And we can shift, select the red cube, go over here, Union Group, and there you go. You can cut out a piece of a sphere shape out of that cube. And you know, when you do this, you can make very complex shapes. So anyway, so that's kind of the basics, really. Just super quick little run through of the basics. You can combine as well. Like we could take the sphere and say we move it right there, right? And then we just move it in, and then we go shift select it, so you can just join it, and now it's one piece. Okay, so you can combine shapes, you can subtract shapes to make more complex shapes. And that's the basics of Tinkercad. That's one of the reasons why I love using this to teach the basics of 3D modeling, because most people understand that. It's, you know, we're not getting into something like with 3D modeling in like Blender or Maya, where you have to do sub-object modeling. You have to learn vertices and edges and faces and the difference between quads and tris. And some people they glaze over at that stuff. It's not exciting, it's not sexy, so I get that. All right, so let's get started on this TIE Fighter. So we're going to use a lot of these basic concepts that I just showed you to create the TIE Fighter. So first thing we're going to do, we're just going to block out the basic shapes. Okay, so first we're going to do a sphere. Okay, then we're going to grab a cylinder. Okay, and see how we can use this to kind of do an alignment. It's not quite aligning the way I want, so that's fine. So Now we're going to do a little rotation. So see this little curved two arrows right here? We're going to click on that and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. All right. Then we are going to shrink this down. Oops, not that one. I think, yeah, you have to hold shift. Yeah. So you hold the shift key, grab by the corner, and we're going to shrink that down. Okay. And you're going to raise it up. And we're going to move it over to the sphere. Okay. So what we want is we want this perfectly aligned. Oh, that's weird. Why did I do that? All right, I'll do that again. So there's these really cool alignment tools that you get with the CAD programs that are really helpful. So what we'll do is we'll select the sphere first, then shift select the cylinder, and we're going to go up right up here to your right, and we're going to go align left. It's actually align L, sorry. So anyway, so see, this will tell, it gives us all these options what we want to align this to. So we want these to line up here into their center, and then we want them to line up right here. All right. And what we'll do is, this is a little trick in 3D, is you usually model half of the object if it's a symmetrical shaped object. So that way everything that we do on the right side, all we have to do is duplicate it and rotate it around 180 degrees, and see, we only have to do half the work. It's a great little time saver. So we're just gonna stretch this out. We're gonna stretch this out a little bit here. That's just a rough guess. Okay. But there we have that lined up. And that's part of the beginning of what we're trying to lay out. So now we're going to go over here to this polygon tool, which is great because it's basically shaped like a TIE fighter wing or solar panel, I guess. All right, so what we want to do is we want to make this thin. Then we're going to make this bigger. So let's just okay. Then we're going to rotate it. So we go to this little rotate arrow. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. Okay. All right. So in order to line this up the way I want, I'm going to go over here to your left, and you're going to see front. So this is an alignment cube. So this allows you to line things up perfectly to the camera or the screen, and it's super helpful. It puts everything in like a nice flat orthographic perspective. So we're going to click front. And right here, see, it's clicked on perspective, so we want to switch it to orthographic. And there, look at that, perfectly lined up. And there we go. And then we'll just grab the top arrow and move it up. Okay. And then do the same here. Actually, I'm going to do it from this side. So left. And okay. All right, good. Okay, so we have the basic shapes blocked in here. Okay. So stuff's not proportionally accurate. We'll get to that later. We're just blocking things in. Okay. So we're going to see, can we stretch this up? Yep, we can. All right, and I think yeah, okay. Now we're going to, so you're gonna marquee select, so you just click away from the geometry and you drag out and you see this little dotted square that allows you to select all these objects, and we're going to use the align tool again. Okay, so we want them to line up here. I want it to line up here. There we go. Good. That's a good start. Okay. That seems a little too thick. So we can you grab these little black dots here. That allows you to adjust the thickness or the width. Okay. There we go. All right. It's a good start. So once you get someplace where you feel like you've achieved something, you want to keep it, it's always good to save. The internet goes down or your computer crashes or electricity goes out. If you didn't save, you lose all that work. So we're going to go over here to the left and we're going to click. It gives this crazy name. That's just what Tinkercad does because it wants something named. You click on it and now you can change it. And I'm going to just go TIE Fighter 01. There we go. So then Tinkercad is like saving things, but it always helps if you have it named properly. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we're going to get some reference. Okay. So let's just grab an image. Let's go TIE Fighter plans. Oh, there we go. There we go. Nice. Nope. Go back. Don't like that one. So we'll just use this. Whoop. All right. Kind of give us a rough idea what we want to see. And you can, if you have a Windows tool, you can use your little snipping tool. And you can type that in under search and it'll pop up and it's really great. You can use it to select this and save it out as an image. I'm just going to do that real quick. All right, so I have this as an option or a reference to look at. Okay, and I'm just gonna save it. Let's go on to the desktop. TIE reference. All right. Okay. And there it is. There we go. So now we're just going to focus on this part. Okay, so we got to really make these solar panels much bigger and much thinner. All right, so we're going to go back to our Tinkercad tool. And let's just I'm going to grab this corner, little red dot, hold the shift key, left mouse click, and whoa. Now let's see how that looks. All right. Then we're going to move this sphere up. Okay, that feels a little better. And we're going to pull that out. So let's do that. And we'll just move it up. Might be too much. All right. Now let's just get everything lined up. So in the blocking stage, we're just trying to get everything kind of look like roughly blocked in. We want to get the proportions right, or the scale, and everything kind of lined up roughly. And if you don't get this part right, the model won't look right. So might seem very ticky-tacky, but it saves you a lot of work later on because you have to go back after you've done a lot of detail. It's very time consuming. All right, and we'll do this. Okay. Now we'll go look at our reference again. All right, I think the sphere can be bigger. So let's, oops, forgot to hold the shift key. So hold the shift key, click the corner, left mouse click and drag. There we go. Maybe a little too big. Let's try it again. Shift key, corner dot, left mouse click and drag. Okay. Now do it again. Let's do the align. Okay. Well, it doesn't look half bad. This is still too thick, the solar panel here. So let's see. We'll just make that a little bit thinner. Probably just, there we go. Okay. All right, so we'll use our reference. Okay, it's working all right. All right, now let's, okay, yeah, we gotta fix this. This is too narrow at the top with ours, so let's fix that. Okay, go back and use the view cube here, switch it to right. So we want this wider and this narrower, so I believe we can do that. Just grab the middle dot. Okay, and then we're gonna squash this down. Okay, it's getting there. Do the same thing. Okay. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, it's still too thick here in the middle. So we're going to no, that's not going to work. All right. Okay. That might be as close as we can get with these shapes. We could try to cut it out. I think that's pretty good. Okay, so let's get our alignment back. All right. Yeah, one more here. Okay. Okay, and then, yeah, that might be okay. All right. Okay, great. So I'm just gonna move this so it's on top of the grid. So I'm gonna click here, and it's still marquee selected, so I can move it up. There we go. All right. Then we're going to start adding some detail. Okay. So we just blocked in the big shapes. So we're going to try and do some of the smaller shapes. Okay. So we can I think we can do some of these. We can do the front cockpit, and we can do the back part. Okay. So that back part, that's like a cone. So I think we can just drag that on. Then we can get this lined up right. We rotate this 90 degrees. Okay. And then we're going to move it with the arrow. So let's line it up, see if this works. Okay. All right. We're just gonna move it out. See if we can. Nope. Put it back. So don't forget, Control Z is your best friend. All right, so we're gonna do a quick little cutter. And use our cutting box. All right. Okay, let's see, how does that look? Yeah, so we're gonna cut it to there. that'll work. So we're going to shift, select this, and then we're just going to go to Union. Oh, didn't have it completely covering that. That's my bad. You can use your arrow key as well to move things over if you want to be super precise. So repeat, shift select. They're both selected. Go over here to Union Group, and there you go. Got the back end. Now we're going to do the front. So I think the front, what we'll do is we'll cut it with a cylinder, and then we'll put a sphere for the glass. All right, so I just pulled in a cylindrical cutter. Gonna rotate it 90 degrees. Gonna raise it up. Okay, gonna go to front view, and let's just, I'm gonna try and eyeball it. All right, now let's see if we can. Down. And we want it perfectly in the middle, so I believe we just select the sphere first, then shift select the cutter, and then we're going to do an alignment real quick. There we go. Okay, now let's take a look at our reference. Maybe push it back just a little bit more. No, I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that works. Okay. Since we're eyeballing it, we're not going to be as exact as I would like, but it's not bad. Okay, so now we'll just do a Union Group, and we've cut that out. Actually, I'm gonna undo that, Control Z. Gonna make a copy of the sphere, so we can just go, where's the duplicate? Here it is. So up here on the left, you'll see this next to this little trash can. Duplicate. Yeah, just duplicate it. Then you can just gonna, now once I've duplicated it, I want to keep it lined up perfectly, so I'm just going to move it forward a little bit. All right, turn that to, okay. Now we're going to shift select that sphere, shift select the cylinder, go up to Union. Great. Now I'm going to select the duplicated sphere and use the arrow key. Keep it all lined up nicely. See what I'm doing? Almost. So what I'm going to do is do a shift. Left mouse click, just push it in a little bit, then I'm going to use the arrow key again. Yeah, I'm just going to raise it up a little bit. Oop, didn't work. Just just undo that. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Use the arrow key again. Then I'm gonna raise it up. I'm gonna hold the original, select the original sphere, then shift select the copy, and I'm gonna use the align tool. There we go. So make sure if the one you don't want to move, you select first, and everything aligns that you select after to the first one. Okay. Now select this one, and I'm just going to move it back with the arrow key. There we go. Okay, there we go. That should be darker. There. All right, we can move this. I'm going to make that gray. There we go. Make that gray. Oops. I want it to be the same gray. There we go. All right. And this could be gray too. All right, got that blocked in. Cool. Okay. So let's see. The next shapes we want to get are we could do the top part too. So let's do that. So we're going to use a cutter again. Grab the cylinder cutter. Move that up. Okay. Maybe just a little bit bigger. All right. Yeah, could be a little smaller. So I'm just gonna, I'll use the align cube to get left. There we go. I'm gonna go down here to the bottom right, and you see the snap grid. You can click settings. Actually, we don't want the settings, we want this part. So click on the 1 millimeter and you can click it down to 0.25, and that means it'll move at 0.25 increments. There we go. Okay. And we'll use the arrow key. Move it over a little bit. Nice. All right. Okay, so we'll shift select the sphere again. I'm going to do union group. And we got a nice little cut. Oh, but we got the other stuff popping through, so we need to fix that. That's easy enough. So I'm going to Control Z, undo that. I'm going to select. I'm going to shift select. I think I can do that. And does that work? Does work. Okay. Only thing is we lose the color here, which I don't want to do. So I'm going to shift select this, shift select the sphere, then that. And then I'm going to union. There we go. And then I'll cut. That won't really matter because we're going to end up creating a the top part there. So actually, I'm going to Control Z, undo it. I'm going to make a copy of this again. It's kind of like you got to be thinking ahead all the time with this. So I'm going to duplicate it and the arrow, there it is. Okay, I'll just move it up. All right, and then I'm gonna duplicate this as well. All right, there we go. Then I'm going to shift select the sphere, shift select the cutoff cone in the back, then the cutter, and then we're going to go union. All right, cut that. Then I am going to select this cutter, move this down to cut the other piece there. And then shift select that union. There we go. That's cut. Then I'm going to do a reverse cut. So we only get this piece here, the top part. So we can use a cube, right? Go here to left. Oops. All right, use the align cube to the left. Okay, then I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. Make sure it will get rid of everything but that top part. Okay, great. Oh, just maybe move this down. There we go. All right. Now select that one, go back to the orthographic view and move that down. Just get it aligned properly. How does that look with our reference? Yeah, it's getting there. Let's move that up just maybe a little bit. There we go. And then I'm just going to move this up just a little bit. There we go. All right. Then I'm going to select that sphere, select this cube, union group. There we go. Now we have the top latch. Awesome. So we're getting there. Okay. right. I think we can get a couple more in there. I'm going to try to keep this to an hour. So we're almost done with this first hour. So let's see. Okay. Okay, so let's do a couple of cylinders. So we're going to make some cylinders based off this drawing. So you can see cylinder here, cylinder here. It's a like quick little thing we can do. All right, so I'm going to duplicate that. All right. Then I'm going to hold the shift key, select the red dot, left mouse, drag out. All right, it should keep it where I want it. Now I'm gonna shrink it down. There we go. Oops. Well, we'll use the alignment tool eventually, but we're getting this at least blocked in. Yeah, there we go. And we just duplicate this as well. Wow. I don't know why it did that. That's weird. Yeah, let's just stretch it out. And we'll do the same thing. Shift key, corner red dot. It's getting a little flaky. Okay. So let's gonna marquee select everything. And let's get some alignments going here. Align. Oops, nope, don't want that. So I'm gonna shift select that sphere so that's not included. Now, oh, still doing it. Not liking that. All right, let's just select that and that and all right. Okay. Almost. Try it again. Now we select the top sphere and we could just move that up. That's no biggie. There we go. That's a little off. Oops, wrong way. Just use the arrow. Okay. All right. Okay, almost done with the block out. I think we can put some of these struts in here. It's a nice quick one. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's just do a quick. Got a shape here we can use. Yeah, I think we'll just use the red cube. Okay. All right, we just stretch this down. Okay. Right, we just use the arrow key to move it into position, move it up, and let's shorten this a little bit, move it up just a bit. Okay. Wrong one. So we want to get the middle red dot. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Just gonna try and thin this out a little bit. There we go. And we can shrink this down so we could rotate this a little bit. Okay. I want it. Let's see if the arrow key work. Okay. Now let's see. How does that look? Alright, and see if we stretch this out like that. Okay. Just gonna let's see, how does that look in comparison? Go. Don't worry about this stuff sticking out because we can cut all that. It's just kind of blocking it in right now. Okay. Let's look at the image again. Almost. How far? Oh, it's almost perfectly aligned. Let's use this. Use the Q key. So we want it roughly lining up with that. Just gonna push it down. Okay. Okay, so we got that. use the arrow key just to line it up a little bit better. All right, got that there. Okay. Cool. So now I'm going to just use a quick little cutter. All right. Oh, that didn't work too well. Okay. Go back with the graphic, and I'm just going to move the cutter up. Whoop. And cut off this much. I like to kind of shrink the cutter down to roughly the shape that I need. Some people just leave it in a full cube. I think this is easier to get what you need. So yeah, don't need it that wide. Okay, and then I want to cut off that end on the end there, so I'm gonna duplicate. So while I have it here selected, duplicate, and then I'll just raise that up. And I'll use that in a second. So I'm going to shift select this piece, shift select the cutter, make it a union. There we go. That's cut off. Then I got this. It's all lined up. And I'm just going to rotate it 90 degrees. There we go. Oh, yeah, sometimes that happens. All right, so we just move it over. There we go. Again, let's just shrink it down. Don't need a lot. The arrow key, get in a position. Okay. Now, shift select them both. Union group, and there we go. And then I think this piece is, let me just move that over based off, yeah, cool. Then I'll just turn that to gray, and this is one of the cool parts. Going to duplicate that, and then I'm gonna rotate it. (180 degrees). Okay, and then use this just to move it down. Actually, let's use the mirror tool so you can get familiar with it. Familiar with the mirror tool. So you select this, and you go up here to mirror. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let's undo that. All right, let's try that again. That was terrible. Great demonstration. All right. Over here, oops. And let's, again, just rotate it 180 degrees. Go to the front, and let's just eyeball it. Okay. Move this over. Okay, so we've roughly blocked out this TIE fighter model. We've got the basic shapes in there, and we'll in the next one we'll start to add the mid-size details, and hopefully you'll come back for that. So I hope you